Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Shamaria Jackson, and basically what I do is I give you the scoop on everything you need to know social media news-wise. We are going to be covering everything from Drake's new song to Floyd Mayweather's daughter being locked up, former Destiny's Child member Farrah Franklin, and the White House urging us to limit our grocery shopping. All of that in today's news. Stick around. Let's go on and just dive right on in. First off with the White House. The White House is urging the public to limit trips to the grocery store for the next few weeks as the coronavirus is expected to hit the hardest. So Dr. Deborah Birx spoke during a news conference with President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence, adding that limiting trips to the grocery store and pharmacy could help reduce the number of infected people, especially in New York and Washington. She pleaded for the public to only make these trips if they are absolutely essential. She also said, the next 2 weeks are extraordinarily important. This is the moment to do everything that you can on the president's guidelines. This is the moment to not be going to the grocery store and to not be going to the pharmacy, but doing everything you can to keep your family, your friends, as well as yourself safe. Okay, here's my opinion on it. Although I understand what she's saying, and she's saying to only go to the grocery store if it's absolutely essential. Absolutely essential. Because a lot of people just go to the grocery store to get out of self-quarantining, to get out of the house, and to kind of be away from their family and their loved ones. Sad, but true. I can definitely understand. However, at the same time, I feel like it's a very unrealistic task. It's very unrealistic. Just because you have people who have no choice, they have to go to the pharmacy. And I know what you're going to say, but she said only if it's essential. Sometimes people have no choice. They have to go to the pharmacy. You have people that work at the grocery store, or for some, it's their side gig, such as Instacart. A lot of people where I am, they do Instacart, and that's their side gig. And with this coronavirus that has shut down businesses, which is going to affect everyone, and I'm saying right now that this is going to be an epidemic. This might even be a next depression because businesses are suffering, especially on the stock market. But that's another talk for another day. I think she's saying also to limit your time going to the grocery store and to the pharmacy, because a lot of people that are working in the pharmacy or even working in the grocery stores, they are the ones most at risk of getting COVID-19. Even the people that are working their side gig of Instacart, their health is on the line. Their immune system is on the line. You know, even if it is to earn a few bucks, their lives are at stake here. So maybe that's another reason why she's saying, hey, limit your time. Limit your goals going there. Limit your trips going there. I just don't foresee it happening. I understand what she's saying by only going to the grocery store if it's essential. I understand that. I just think it's very unrealistic. Also, at the same time, I have a conspiracy theory. I have I have a question that's been itching my noggin. How do you know if the coronavirus is going to hit its peak? Meaning, the COVID-19 has been bad, okay? And they've predicted that it was going to come to the United States, which it did. And they said that it was going to be bad, which it is. It's very bad. It's so bad that it shut down businesses. It shut down people's lives, okay? However, how do you know that its peak is about to happen? How do you know? Like, we already know that it's bad. It's already affected millions of people's lives. But how do you know that the peak, the very peak, how do you know that this is at its peak? This could just be a little shovel. This could be a little shovel, and then by next month it could hit its peak. Because you never know who might be affected. Which brings me into my next topic, and that is of the Bronx Zoo have their tigers having the coronavirus. If you don't know, I spoke about it a little bit on my last podcast, which was that animals can get the COVID-19. I remember talking to you guys saying that the COVID-19 is transferable, so animals and humans can get it. In New York City at a Bronx Zoo, a 4-year-old Malayan tiger at the Bronx Zoo has tested positive for the novel coronavirus. It appears that this is the first known animal infection in the United States. I feel that it might be the first known animal to be infected in the United States. However, I don't think it's the only animal that has been affected in the United States. So there might be like dogs running around that could have the COVID-19 and people don't even know it, which is strangely just like the zoo employee that has been affected with the coronavirus, had no idea that he or she had the coronavirus, came to work, did their job, the tiger got it, and then the tiger spread it to 2 Amur tigers and 3 African lions. So how do they know? How do they know that, this tiger has the coronavirus? Well, first off, they tested him, but it also came with the symptoms that, people have if they have the COVID-19, which was that they developed a dry cough. They also believe that this was the first animal which began showing symptoms on March 27th, and that was 11 days after the institution closed to the public. And these zookeepers have to go in and they have to make sure the animals are fed, make sure all of the animals are doing okay, and, going from there. So maybe this official, like I said, did not know that they had the COVID-19. They're all expected to recover well. That's their expectation, is that they cover well. However, at the same time, I can understand what Dr. Deborah Bricks was talking about, which was, just limiting your time. So again, I don't think she is saying flat out, don't go to the grocery store, don't go to the pharmacy. She's just saying limit your time. That way it limits your chances of getting the COVID-19. However, for these next group of people, I don't think they quite understand how severe this COVID-19 is. Or maybe they do, and they're just tired of being stuck in the house. So after the break, I'm going to talk to you guys about 15 people who were arrested for violating quarantine orders, and the LA mayor who was offering a reward.
Do Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Welcome back. Before the break, I was talking to you guys about how the White House, specifically Dr. Deborah Birx, who has warned us to limit our times going to the grocery store or going to the pharmacy to kind of limit our chances of getting the COVID-19. And if you guys do not know, a tiger from the Bronx Zoo, that tiger has the COVID-19, and that was transmitted, or that came from one of the officials, the zoo officials that worked at the zoo, who had COVID-19, and they obviously didn't know. And that's possibly the reason as to why Dr. Deborah Birx has warned us to kind of limit our times going to the grocery store as well as the pharmacy. Because you never know who has COVID-19, who's walking around, and who does not, show the signs and symptoms of having COVID-19. However, they do have the COVID-19. And she's just wanting us to think before going, basically. But right now, I'm going to talk about the LA mayor, who is offering a reward for telling on businesses violating the city's stay-at-home order. The Los Angeles mayor, Eric Garcetti, he encourages people to kind of tell on others who aren't following the city's stay-at-home order. So it's a lot different from the saying we grew up knowing. He says, quote, "You know the old expression about getting stitches. Well, in this case, snitches get rewards," end quote. But apparently, since the Safer at Home order in California was instituted, the Los Angeles city officials have received multiple reports about businesses violating the orders. Garcetti says, quote, "If any non-essential businesses continue to operate in violation of the stay-at-home order, we're going to act to enforce the Safer at Home order and ensure their compliance," end quote. Okay. So here's my opinion on the Los Angeles rewards. First off, I need to know how much the reward actually is. Will this be enough to pay for a bill? Will this be enough to pay off my car? Like, how much is this reward going to be before I go off and snitch on some businesses? Second off, I can kind of understand what he's talking about. Just recently, Hobby Lobby was under fire for still having their doors open. And in no way, shape, or form is Hobby Lobby considered an essential business. However, they were still open, and that's why they were under fire. So they had to close their doors just recently. And I have a feeling maybe that's one of the businesses that Los Angeles was talking about. Then again, there are other businesses that were open. So this doesn't come to no surprise that people were like, you know what, I need money. Sure, I'll tell on a business. It also wouldn't surprise me if someone went in to the business, grabbed what they needed to grab, maybe told their family members, hey, grab what you need to grab right now, went home, called them up, and said, hey, this non-essential business is open. I would like my reward, and I would like to go on about my day. I'm not sipping tea. I'm just saying that's more than likely of what happened. And the New York Post actually posted this on Instagram, or at least I found out about it through Instagram. This goes into the 15 men that have been arrested during a funeral in New Jersey for allegedly defying the state's ban on public gatherings during the coronavirus pandemic. The incident in Ocean County, New Jersey, it was late Wednesday, was the fourth time as many days that Lakewood police had to respond to a prohibited public event. This time it was a funeral where between 60 and 70 people gathered. To me, I understand quarantining, self-quarantining. I understand, staying at home. However, in this case, I don't find these people being arrested right. It's a funeral. So the police sergeant, the police chief, Gregory Meyer, he said, quote, "This gathering was in violation, which bans gatherings of individuals, whether it might be a wedding, parties, celebration, or other social events, which also includes funerals," end quote. Because of this, the crowd became very unruly and argumentative, which I can understand. It's a funeral. People's emotions are already high up. They never expected their loved ones to pass away. And finally, when they do have the chance to, bury their loved ones, some of them are still grieving. So for a police officer to come up and say, "Hey, you're violating quarantine, you're under arrest," it kind of adds to the emotion. Some people never have the chance to say goodbye, or sometimes that's the person that they've only known. It could be someone's brother, mother, sister, aunt, uncle, father, you name it. And that's that person's loved one, that's someone that they love. So I understand what people are saying by, being safe and staying safe and self-quarantining yourself and not being in large crowds. However, at the same time, this is a funeral. So are we supposed to not bury our loved ones or be with our loved ones? How is a funeral supposed to work out? Are we supposed to postpone a funeral? Or are we supposed to just go in one by one and say our final goodbyes? For many religions, you have to bury that person quickly. So at one point, do you get to honor your religion? But like I've been saying, this coronavirus quarantining stuff, it's been very up in the air, and things are very haywire, and it's a madhouse. And I think that's another thing that people are just getting so frustrated with. How do people function with this quarantine and burying a loved one? In my opinion, do I feel like these 15 people should have been arrested? No. However, at the same time, because I read that they were getting unruly and argumentative, which is for a good reason. You never know what was said. Sometimes they might have said something that wasn't right. And the situation unfolded, unfortunately. So that is all for the coronavirus. I wanted to keep the coronavirus very limited. I'm honestly, to tell you guys the truth, I'm getting so tired of the coronavirus and quarantining and social distancing, given majority of the time I am at home minding my business, but I am getting so tired of staying at home and seeing the same people all day, every day. It's getting very tiring, but that's another story for another day. In this next topic coming up, We are going to switch gears, and we have some celebrity news coming right at you right after this break.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were kind of hitting everything that you needed to know coronavirus-wise. Before the break, we were talking about the LA mayor who is offering rewards for kind of telling on businesses who are violating the city's stay-at-home order, and the 15 people who were arrested for violating their quarantine orders, which was them going to a funeral. So it was about 15 plus people at this funeral. So my question for that was, when do we have time to celebrate our loved ones? Because life does not take a halt and death does not take a halt. So what do we do with our loved ones who have to be buried? Or for people whose religion states that they must be buried within 3 days? How do we have time to function that? Especially with everything that's going on and not being able to be around your loved ones. How do we function with something this big? However, I wanted to switch things up and give you everything that you needed to know celebrity gossip wise. We have a lot of celebrity gossip, a lot of celebrity drama, especially with everything, with our all too favorite music industry drama. You've got to love it. You got to love the tea that comes out of the music industry. You just have to. So Drake dropped a new song on Thursday, April 2nd. And after he dropped his video, it went viral. So the name of the song is the Tootsie Slide. And basically in his video, he kind of shows off his mansion, which was a kind of like, look at my mansion, like the Cribs episode. I don't know if you guys know this, but yeah, I was that type of person who watched MTV Cribs where they would like show off their mansions or their houses or whatever. And Drake kind of, I don't know if you noticed it, but he like tilted his head to that because he's in this like deserted street, and then he goes from the deserted street to his mansion, and then he's kind of dancing around his mansion, showing he's doing the MTV Cribs, but at the same time he's doing the choreography, and then at the same time he's showing off his new song. So he's like doing 3 things in one. It's like really weird, but really cool at the same time. I have to tilt my head to Drake. You know, I always have to tilt my head to Drake because he's very creative and he understands what he's doing. Okay. Is he the most talented man who can dance? No. And I know for a fact he even knows that. But at the same time, he's a very smart man because last week he posted pictures of his son, which got his name buzzing in the news. Then all of a sudden, his dancers came up with the choreography and was showing you like sneak peeks of the music video, and now his music video dropped. And now he's number 1 on music streaming. Calculated. It's very calculated. He had a motive. So, can I knock him for that? No. His name is buzzing. His music, obviously, is flowing. Is the Tootsie Slide one of his best tracks? No. Could it be used, for functions after the quarantine? Hopefully so. We never know. Do I feel that this challenge is going to take off? Yes, I do. The Savage Challenge took off. Wiz Khalifa's song took off. And I feel like his is going to come next. It might not come, this week. It might not come next week. But trust me, the challenge is going to happen. So, yes. What I love about Drake and, his music is that he gives people the credit that they deserve. If someone made up choreography, he doesn't say, oh, I'm the one who made up choreography. He actually gives his credit where credit is due. At the same time, he's someone who understands that he is not the most choreographed kind of guy. He's actually kind of funny when he dances, but I can't really laugh because I cannot dance at all. But I love the fact that he at least tries and he has fun with it. And even if people make fun of him, he kind of doesn't really pay them any attention, which again, that's something that I personally like. Coming up right after the break, I'm going to talk about the whole drama between Yaya getting arrested to inappropriate claims coming from Farrah Franklin, all coming up right after the break.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back. Before the break, I was talking to you guys about Drake's calculated social media takeover and how he first showed off his child to get his name on the social media buzz once again, to him dropping choreography hints, and finally him showing off his mansion, his choreography, and his new song. So for right now, speaking of songs, I wanted to dive into 2 other artists that made the mainstream. So NBA Youngboy, if you don't know who he is a rapper. And the reason he is in the news right now is because of his girlfriend, Yaya Mayweather. Who is Yaya Mayweather? Yaya Mayweather is Floyd Mayweather's daughter, and she is dating NBA Youngboy, who is a rapper. Yaya was arrested at 1:30 in the morning on Saturday for felony aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Police sources told the site that the alleged victim, who was identified as LaPatria Jacobs, was at Youngboy's home in Houston when Yaya walked in. Yaya reportedly told the woman that she was his fiancée. She was NBA Youngboy's fiancée, and she wanted her to leave. Eventually, Miss Jacobs. She said no, she's not leaving. She is NBA Youngboy's friend or entourage or whatever, and that she wasn't leaving. This was NBA Youngboy's home. She's not going anywhere. That's where Yaya Mayweather got upset, which led to the two getting into an argument, which moved into the kitchen. The two got into a fight. Yaya reportedly was losing the fight, and she allegedly ended up with 2 knives. So they were fighting in the kitchen. She reportedly was losing. I'm guessing during this time, NBA Youngboy supposedly asked his security to step in. At some point, I'm pretty sure he asked his security to step in. Either it was before they got to the kitchen or after they got to the kitchen. Either way, the two were in a physical altercation. And then after that, a knife was brought onto the scene. One source said one source said 2. However, all I know is that there was in fact a knife involved. And supposedly, Yaya Mayweather stabbed Miss Jacobs, and I believe now she's in critical condition. So this isn't something small. I don't know a lot about Yaya Mayweather, and I know just enough about NBA Youngboy. So, in the times that these two together have ever been on the news, it's always been something bad. From fights to arguments, it's just never anything good. And at what point do you say, hey, this relationship, it's toxic. It's not good enough for me. It's not good enough for us, period. So at what point do you decide to hang up the relationship? At one point, does someone decide to say, why do you continue to disrespect me? Why are you at your home with another female that I do not like? Or at one point, do you decide to wake up and say, why am I continuously fighting people for this man's respect or this man's love? Love is not like that. And now this young lady's future is in the hands of someone else because she decided to stab another individual, another female, over a man's attention, or because she felt disrespected. Now her freedom is at risk. Her freedom was at risk the moment she decided to pick up the knife and stab the lady. That freedom was already at risk. But now, instead of it being aggravated assault, you're looking at felony aggravated assault. And because this lady might even be in critical condition, now you're facing, if she passes away, now it's went from felony aggravated assault to a murder charge. If she passes away, this is a murder charge. And if you really look at it, NBA Youngboy is not the one in jail. He's not the one in trouble. He might, look like frowned upon. He might be frowned upon because it was at his home. But he's not the one who picked up a knife and who stabbed someone. Yaya Mayweather is. So it doesn't matter who her father might be. Floyd Mayweather, he can only do so much, but boo, he's out living his life. And I think that's another thing that so many women don't understand, is that you can fight for your man. But at one point, do you decide to worry about yourself? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the fact, that people are in love and, couples and all of this. However, at what point do you decide to say, you know what, I care about my sanity. I care about my mental health. And, love is great, but at one point do you decide to wake up and say, you know what, As much as I love this person, I'm not going to ruin my freedom, or I'm not going to risk my freedom or my mental health for this person that possibly or wholeheartedly does not love me. This is toxic in a mask of love, or you're in a mask of thinking they're in love, but in actuality, that's not love, and that's not how love should be given or shown. So I think they just have a lot of growing up to do, especially with everything that's going on. For Yaya, I don't know what to say. And with that being said, I wanted to go on and take this time to switch gears to Farrah Franklin, coming up right after the break.
Always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. Jordan and Keith is Entertainment Tonight meets Access Hollywood.
I'm Jordan. The guy laughing, that's Keith.
Yeah, I'm Keith. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
So if you have no idea who Farrah Franklin is a former member of the Destiny's Child trio group. Before they became a trio, it was actually 4 of them. If you want to take it really back, it was actually Beyonce Knowles, Kelly Rowland, LaToya Lockett, and Latavia Robertson. So after LaToya and Latavia left the group, in came Michelle Williams and Farrah Franklin. Farrah Franklin was actually in the group for a very short period of time. And then after that, it just became the trio of Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle. So that is how a lot of people know Destiny's Child, either through Beyonce, Kelly, or Michelle, or they know them as Beyonce, Kelly, LaToya, and Latavia. If you're like a real Destiny's Child fan. But you're not here for that. You're here for the news. So Farrah Franklin, although she was in Destiny's Child for a very short period of time, she alluded to having an uncomfortable encounter with the group's manager and Beyonce's father. So she encountered with the group's manager and Beyonce's father, Matthew Knowles. So there was a clip, someone who worked behind the scenes of a show called The Last Chance Girls Group, which was created in 2015. It was about former members of girl groups allegedly leaked the clip of the series onto social media. The clip shows Franklin in a confessional talking about a time where Matthew Knowles invited her to his room. She said, quote, Knowles had propositioned her and invited her to his hotel room to speak. When asked if he had tried to sleep with her, she didn't give a direct answer, but hinted that Matthew Knowles, who was married to Tina Knowles at the time, had tried to get closer to her than he should have. She also appeared in Destiny's Child's videos from Say My Name and Jumpin' Jumpin' in 1999. She was booted from the group, and she left the group after feeling she was mistreated, mostly by Beyonce. There's so many things that's going on that I kind of have so many questions for, which was a lot of people like to clown Farrah because she was in Destiny's Child for such a short period of time. And there was also a clip of Farrah Franklin just kind of being over it. Just being over the celebrity life, just being over being a part of Destiny's Child. And you just kind of see that a lot in girl groups where you always have one that's just the leader. You have one that's the leader. And then you have one that is just tired of being people's doormats. And I guess in past interviews, I could kind of see that from Farrah. As an adult, I can see that from Farrah. However, at the time, a lot of people were talking about this girl because she's not a Beyonce, she's not a Michelle, she's not a Kelly. So who is she? Who is Farrah Franklin? And many people did not have the chance to figure that out, especially with her being so short-lived. Now Matthew Knowles and his wife at the time, Tina Knowles, they did end up filing for divorce because Matthew Knowles did have a child with another woman. They actually finalized their divorce in 2011, and the show was premiered in 2015. So my question is, if he did this, did she tell anyone? But at the same time, it's the entertainment industry, and Matthew Knowles is a very powerful man. He is a manager, he is a father, he has connections. So he could have stopped her from even recording in the music industry. However, at the same time, that could be another reason as to why she didn't tell her band members, because she felt probably like no one would believe her, because just like Matthew is a very, very powerful man, Beyonce is a very powerful woman, and she has connections in the entertainment industry. I think this just sheds bad light, not only on Matthew Knowles, but on Beyonce as well. You can kind of tell that the two really didn't get along, especially with her, not being able to go to, get certain things done. I guess she wanted to, in one clip, she wanted to take time off because she wasn't feeling well. In another time, in another clip, they had to go to another interview, and she was saying that she doesn't have her stuff packed, and Beyonce was giving her, ways that she could get there, and it's just, you can tell that the two just did not click, and that's okay. Sometimes you have to set personal aside and just stick down strictly to professional, but I believe at some point they were just tired of being professional, and their personal lives got a part of it, and sometimes it just did not mesh well. Again, for Farrah to say that Matthew Knowles touched her inappropriately, there's three sides to the story. There's her side, his side, and the truth. So we'll never really truly know. And if this is her truth, then this is Farrah Franklin's truth, and we can't really go off of anything else. This is her truth. As of now, Matthew Knowles has not spoken out against the allegation. He's actually been quite quiet. So there's only three sides. So we don't really know who to base this off of. And I guess that's just the funny thing about, it's not funny, but I guess that's just the thing about, certain allegations people can say. You never really quite know the truth. I'm very happy that she decided to speak out about it, because this is something that, she has felt strongly about. And this might be something that could be eating her away. It could be something that's affecting her in her life as we speak. And for her to speak that out, this is her truth. So whether people believe her or not, this is her truth. After the break, more social media news coming right up. Stay tuned.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
guys, and welcome back. This is our very last topic, and I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what the COVID-19 has kind of put us through. So we're already about to be low on our stocks, and businesses are already talking about shutting down because of the effect that the COVID-19 has had. I've talked to you guys in the past about how a state has decided to put a house monitor on some COVID-19 patients because they're not staying quarantined. We have people that are being arrested for being in groups of 15 people or more. And now we have digital data tracking and privacy for the future implications of COVID-19. So they're tracking data to help combat the COVID-19. However, a lot of these datas are going to be leaked. So at what point, there's so many questions as to where this may lead us, after post-COVID-19. We already know that after, they finally say we can come out of quarantine, businesses are more than likely going to be booming because people are going to be so excited to get out of the house. However, at the same time, you also have to look at, because people are going to the stores after quarantine to go buy as much product as they can, that's going to be, in my opinion, I can foresee people out buying things again because they're just, scared in a way. And it's kind of going to go in the same kind of level as greed, because they get to get out of the house, they get to buy up these things again, and I feel like it's going to be maybe another outbreak. I don't know. I also told you guys in the beginning of the show that I wasn't going to talk too much about COVID-19 because so many people are getting so sick and tired of it, but I wanted to do something fun. And on Twitter and on Instagram, someone put up the caption, "What are you doing post quarantine?" So once the COVID-19 is settled and we can finally get out of quarantine, what is the first thing that you're going to do? So the first thing that I'm going to do is go and get my eyebrows done, because goodness gracious, my eyebrows need to get done. Like, badly. They need to get done. The second thing that I'm going to do is I am going to go and eat. Probably going to order something and sit down at Starbucks or somewhere where I can sit down and just focus on not being in the house. So I'm alone, but I'm not alone. If that makes sense. Probably doesn't. That's okay. The next thing I'm going to do is just be happy to just go where I want to go without thinking about putting on a mask or gloves or worry about people touching me or, worrying about people being within my, actually, you know what? I already do not like people being in my bubble, but I won't feel so self-conscious with you being in my bubble. Like, social distance. Thank you for being in my presence, but social distance yourself, okay? And, just being able to go through the plans that I've planned for or that I've, wanted to go and do, like having a road trip with my friends or being able to go to brunch or meeting up with my friends, little things like that. The little things that we took for granted, I'm going to be so excited to get back. A few people even said that they're looking forward to their graduation, prom, parties, etc. So those are the only things for me and some of the ones that I've read. So go on and tell us what you are most excited for or what you're most excited to do post-quarantine. What can you not wait to do? What are some things that you plan on doing? let us know and leave us some replies. We love hearing from you guys. But for right now, I just wanted to thank you guys for listening to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast. Once again, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask that you please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice review because that really helps us out. Also, if you can, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I would like to thank you guys once again, and I want you guys to have a great night, a good day, and everything in between.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.